Welcome to my channel. This is Bruce the Boss, and today's story is Disney losing billions in just the past month and a half alone since going woke, adding to the narrative that if you go woke, you now go broke. But before we get into that, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Your subscriptions do go a long way in allowing me to put out new content, as YouTube has already nuked my previous channel and trying to control what we hear, control what we say, control the narrative, and your subscriptions go a long way with helping to win the culture war, because again, united we stand, divided we fall in this war for freedom and or thought. Also, don't forget to like this video, comment on this video. I want to know what your thoughts are, and don't forget to share this video. And if you are subscribed, don't forget to smash on that notification bell, as YouTube has a long history of not notifying individuals or subscribers of the latest content of any YouTube creator, much like myself, especially when it doesn't go with the official narrative. So thank you for your interactions. It means a whole lot. Now let's get into this. So the Washington Examiner has just broke the story yesterday, actually, and it's been reported elsewhere just within the last several hours that Disney has lost over $50 billion in value since their war with Florida began. Washington Examiner is reporting that Disney stock has lost nearly $50 billion in value since the start of March, when it took its political gamble to oppose Florida's controversial new education law. Disney stock was down more than 2% this past Friday, and by more than 8.5% over the past few days, as Florida lawmakers have worked to punish the company for wading into states' policies, the stock, or state politics. The stock's market cap has declined by about $46.6 billion since March the 1st, which was just days before the company came out against the legislation. Wow, and that is just amid major news that's already been announced throughout this week, making major headlines as it pertains to Netflix actually tumbling in value over the past couple of days as well for something similar, and that is in effect to go woke. They too are going broke. Is this, I guess you can say, a sentiment that the far left, I'm not throwing all those who identify as liberal under the same bus, because there is a fringe group that seems to be definitely trying to take over it all, but have they swung the pendulum so far left that is course correcting itself back to the center and maybe center right? So essentially what's been going on is there has been an agenda in the public schools to hypersexualize kids and get them as young as possible. And when they use the term grooming, they're not saying in terms or in the sense of child predator, at least not all the time, but rather steering kids as young as possible down a particular path, and that is the path of, I guess you can say, an LGBTQ, not just acceptance, but down that path of things like, or concept that would otherwise be beyond the kid's comprehension at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, things like gender fluidity, etc. Trying to have these conversations, not involving the parents and the curriculum and or keeping it secret. I've done a video on even New Jersey school districts' plans for this upcoming fall of 2022 that is going in that very direction for that age group of kindergartners and first graders. If you didn't think it was real, it's happening. This was not a made-up scenario and or invented situation, but I digress. Ron DeSantis signed the bill, or Parental Consent Act, allowing not only parents to be in the loop of curriculum and to have to sign off on sex ed curriculum, but also forbidding any talk of sexual orientation between the ages of 4 through 8 or pre-K through 3rd grade. That's it, and wait until they're age appropriate. But however, the media lied and tried to spin it as don't say gay, despite the fact that the bill says nothing about targeting the LGBTQ community. It's an across-the-board ban, but again, just for 4 to 8-year-olds, not across the board for all school kid age. Think about that. But Disney wound up sticking their foot where it really didn't belong, brought into the lie of don't say gay, and sent out a tweet and or a communication statement, a statement stating that not only do they oppose the Don't Say Gay bill, which it never was, but they were going to do everything within their power, making it their number one agenda as a company, which I thought was about entertainment, family getaways, resort, family-friendly content, is now making it their top priority to oppose this bill, which is, by the way, extremely and overwhelmingly popular in the state of Florida, as it is in a lot of states seeking to have similar measures to protect kids in their childhood education from the sexual identity politic. Although I wonder whatever happened to arithmetic, reading, writing, history, science, like just stick to that. No wonder the United States is like the bottom 26 of in the industrial world, but I digress. They made it their number one mission to oppose the bill, and that, again, it's one thing to even have an opinion, but to say that you're going to do everything in your power to overturn a bill that was signed into law by a duly elected state officials, it's just taking it too far. So I will say the government did strike back, and they struck back in a hard way against Disney, because the state Florida Senate earlier this week, I believe Tuesday, passed this legislation 23-16 in favor of stripping Disney of their special tax privileges in the Reedy Creek Improvement District. It then went actually to pass the state legislature, which I was actually kind of surprised. It passed the state house overwhelmingly. I believe it was 70-38. And once it passed both houses of the state government, Ron DeSantis, as of I believe Friday, then signed it into law, stripping Disney officially of their special tax privileges, as well as government autonomy to act like their own government, in a sense, or their own county, accounting for their own resources and or emergency provision. So now it's official. Now, whether or not it will finally go through, if I read a Hill article correctly, I think it does have to go ultimately then to a vote to the people in the county. Whether or not they agree on that, we'll see. But regardless, not only is that going underway, but as this has all been unfolding, as Florida strikes back, or as Ron DeSantis strikes back, this has really hurt Disney's bottom line. And also keep in mind, throughout all of this, Disney has then vowed to become totally LGBTQ plus committed in terms of their content by, if I'm not mistaken, you had their CEO come out and say they were going to ensure that now, with all of the new content that will be coming out in the upcoming future, literally they were going to make it a point that over half, or at least minimum half of the characters coming out in their upcoming content, stories, movies, what have you, were going to be representative of the LGBTQ plus community. Not just diverse, but it was going to make it a point of including trans, gay, etc., trans, gay, queer, homosexual individuals in their content, in their stories. Whether it made sense or not, it was all about pushing an agenda. And since then, again, they've lost nearly $50 billion in revenue. So this goes to show that I think a lot of people who just get stuck watching CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, they're in New York City, Baltimore, Chicago, Los Angeles, are in a bubble and not really representative of the larger community of the country as a whole, what we want, what we're looking for. And that's not to be anti-LGBTQ at all. I think the majority of the country is really live and let live. Just don't shove anything down their throat. And when you try to push an agenda and or propaganda, they will push back and remind you otherwise. And this is also in light of CNN Plus also going down. Go ahead and check that video out if you like. The people are finally saying, you know what, we don't buy the narrative and or what you're pushing. This is very important to keep doing so, because if you don't, they will take over and win the culture war, especially if they can get kids in schools as young as possible to mold them down and send them down a certain path, that once they get them in the academia, they can take over a generation and affect, ways of thought, ways of life, how to view various things, such as just things like sexual identity and being pushed towards a certain path. But I just, again, find this very interesting. Keep up the great work. patriots out there who don't like being told or pushed, told what to think, told what to do, and or any particular propaganda. Keep swallowing that white pill and or red pill, black pill, whichever pill that helps you spit out that blue pill they want you to follow. That's all I have. This is, again, amazing development. We'll see how this further affects Disney. I do agree there are going to be some unintended consequences as it pertains to what Ron DeSantis and the state legislature in Florida are doing. It will mean that the residents will have to absorb the tax burden and or cost for maintaining the Reedy Creek Improvement District. But, again, it's kind of like a two-edged sword. Who's going to blink first or hurt the most? This definitely taught Disney, and as well as almost any other company, again, seeing what's happened just in the past week now with Disney. But first, prior to that, it was Netflix and CNN Plus, that showing them that we hold the power. We don't accept the narrative. You're not what you think you are. Keep fighting the good fight, y'all, and letting them know if you try to go woke and try to change and or control public perception, you will indeed go broke. That's the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like this video, comment on this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel. Again, help this channel, continue to help this channel. I appreciate your support thus far. This is Bruce the Boss, and I'm out. Peace.